It is 8 o'clock on the East Coast. It is 5 o'clock on the West Coast. It is the 18th of July in the year of our Lord 2024. Season 15, Episode 1. 670 times you have been welcome to the Clubhouse Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. We're very happy whether you're live on Facebook, whether you're live on YouTube, whether you're live on Twitch, whether you've got the audio feed from Apple Music or from Amazon Music or from Spotify, or if you're watching on the archive, we're just happy you're here. Welcome. My name is Rob. I am the executive producer of the Clubhouse Podcast, and as the Eurythmics once said, here comes the rain again, and I ain't complaining. That way from me is my co-host, and a man who wanted to make sure the shirt was represented even though we were off when it happened. He is Alex. Hey, man.
Well, it is one of those things. I'm not complaining about any rain, overcast, or whatnot coming through because I already feel like I am cooking.
You're still kind of distorted. You may want to check your levels on that end. At the bottom of your screen, he is the official fact checker of Sooner or Gator Productions, and a man whose opinions on his review this week are vastly different than mine. You may know him as Igbunu, but his mama named him Don Ford. I'm going to call him Don Ford. Hey, man.
But if we agreed all the time, then what's the point of the show?
No, I'm just saying, we got to recognize it when it happens.
I'm always more surprised when we agree, to be honest.
Yeah. That's a little bit better. That sounds a little bit better, Alex. So I can give you guys a little bit more love on this end as well. Season 15 has kicked off. The official anniversary of the show was Saturday. So if you can believe it's been 14 years since this experiment began, which is nutso if you think about it. But we're happy to be here. We're excited. We're going to dive right in. Had history made last night in the world of sports up near the Philadelphia, New England area as Kevin, I believe is his name, Sullivan, makes his pro debut for MLS for the Philadelphia Union. He is 14 years old. His older brother also plays for the team. His older brother, who is 20, got a goal. He got a shot on goal. He's already been signed by Man City. So get your money.
That's an eye for talent. So
get your money. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you ever want to feel like somebody might be overpaid? Look at what professional footballers get paid. Because you just look and you're like, how is that many zeros possible?
Yeah. And I did not appreciate Tony Reale on Around the Horn today reminding us that he was born in 2009. Yeah. Got that going.
Oh, okay. I was trying to figure out, I was like, Tony Reale's older than that. No, we're talking about the player.
Yep.
It's been a couple weeks.
Our last day of the All-Star break, which are the two slowest days in sports.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really take a look at a lot of the activities, although the WNBA is still making great strides. They got their new TV deal today, $200 million a year, which is almost quadruple what it's been. So shout out to them. Angel Reese still playing well. Caitlin Clark, first person ever to get 19 blocks in a game for the WNBA last night.
Assists.
Oh, assists. I thought it was assists. You are correct. I said corrected. Their All-Star game is this weekend. A lot of eyes will be on the WNBA All-Stars playing Team USA. So, but from the Major League Baseball All-Star game, Alex, it was one of his favorites.
I got one question on the Caitlin. How come did they really say why she didn't make the Olympic team when she's probably the best in the?
It was decided that go ahead, Alex.
Oh no! I was just gonna say Don Staley made a very good statement about this and clarifying about what they were looking for. It's not too dissimilar. One pundit, I wish I could remember who it was. Her point was it's not too dissimilar to when Michael Jordan, quote unquote, didn't make his varsity basketball team in high school, whereas it was just the fact that he was shorter than the other guys on the team and others fit niches that the coaches wanted. So for Caitlin Clark, she is proving that she is an all-world talent. However, that is a very deep position. And with the Olympics only coming around every 4 years, you have certain women who this might be their last shot, but are still worthy of a spot as well. So there will be teams for Caitlin Clark in the Olympics. It's just not this one unless she's going to be an alternate.
But she is also, she and Sabrina Ionescu have declined the 3-point challenge at the All-Star game this weekend, which I thought was an interesting move as well.
That makes me sad.
So, but the Major League Baseball All-Star game was this week. This is one of Alex's favorite things of the year, and we go live to him for any opinions therein.
No, oh man. Obviously, Globe Life Field, one of our favorite places, not just because it is local, but because it is very well air conditioned in the Texas heat, so you can actually see a Ranger game without wanting to die. Now, the home run derby wound up coming down to a really cool conclusion between Bobby Witt and Teoscar Hernandez. Yes, we know about the national anthem. We're not going to get into it. That's already its own thing if you want to look it up. Going into the game, I think almost every run except for 2 was scored off of home runs between Ohtani and arguably the smallest, if not the lightest person in the All-Star game hitting the longest home run of the weekend that winds up getting him the MVP. So congrats to Jerron Duran out of Boston. But it was okay. Texas could have done a lot better as a host in certain aspects because those might have been the ugliest uniforms this side of the Canucks Power V.
All right, yeah, that's not a lone opinion. I've heard that from many sources. So
it was ugly. It looked like they got the colors that were on discount and had them put together just patchwork.
All right, let's get into those standings because they've been the same for 4 days,
among other things.
In the AL East, the most competitive division continually in Major League Baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays are 8 games below 500. I'm sorry. Yes, they are 8 games below 500, and they're 14 back in the division. They are actually 4 games behind Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay now 5.5 back on Boston. Boston 3.5 back on the Yankees. The Yankees now a game back on Baltimore. So you got that going for you. Baltimore now 58-38. They have the same amount of wins as the Yankees. In the AL Central, another team with 58 wins leads that division. The Chicago White Sox are not that team.
Nope.
They are 20.5 games back on the Tigers currently.
I just want to analyze that. 20.5 games back on the Tigers, who are also not doing well.
At the halfway point. And we'll talk about that disparaging when we get to North America's favorite game show. Let's see here. Detroit is now 5 back on the Royals. The Royals now 3.5 back on Minnesota. And the Twins are 4.5 back on Cleveland. Cleveland has not played as many games as either Baltimore or the Yankees because they have less losses with the same amount of wins. In the AL West, the Las Vegas, we're going to figure it out. They are 15 games back. They're 5 back on... Where are you? I got to let it ring, or else it cuts it off. La is 5 back on the Rangers. The Rangers now 4 back on Houston, who is only a game back on Seattle currently. In the National League West, the Colorado Rockies, they're struggling. They're 22 back, but at least they have a reason to be 22 back. Of first place, not of the piece of people in front of them. They're 34-63. They are 13 games back on San Francisco. The Giants now 2 back on the Padres. The Padres and Arizona are tied, and they are both 7 back on Misty's beloved Dodgers. In the NL Central, the Cubs, you're 4 games below 500. You're 8.5 back in the division. This is another division that we were talking about in pre-show. That's one to watch this season, which is crazy to talk about historically. They're a half game back on Cincinnati. Cincinnati's kind of breathing down your Pirates' neck down there game and a half back on you. You're 2 back on the Cardinals. The Cardinals now 4.5 back on Milwaukee, but Pittsburgh on a 4-game heater. And
we're about 6.5 back from first.
That is correct.
But this is where after usually the first half of the year, they're pretty competitive. After the All-Star break, they're going to start plumbing. I know you said 4-game streak, but that was right before the All-Star break. So I'm not going to put stock into them.
Don, you got to have faith. You got to have faith, Don.
I'll try, but every year we'll see.
Hey, I still have faith in my Marlins, and they're 29 back right now in the only division that matters, the NL East. And they're, 10.5 back on Washington, on the Nationals. Washington now 6 back on the Mets. The Mets now 4 back on the Braves. The Braves now 8.5 back on Philly. I need people to start beating the Phillies, please, for the love of God. All right, gentlemen.
I'm just waiting for the moment where I say, okay, so I'm picking up the slack for the Pirates here because I'm the one that's thumping the table for that pitching staff and the young talent.
Let's talk about North America's favorite game show.
Do it.
Why are you coming through? You shouldn't be coming through Echo when I do that. That's weird. What is the run differential for the Chicago White Sox minus Alex?
To clarify for anybody watching, I am recusing myself because it was mentioned on the broadcast for the All-Star game, so I know what the exact number is, and I'm not going to be that jerk that just says it and leaves Don to twist.
Don, go.
I'm just going to say 222, 222 negative.
The Chicago White Sox currently are 27-71. Let me say that again for the people in the cheap seats. On July 18th, the Chicago White Sox are 27-71. That is a 276 win percentage, which means they'll win a game if it's a 4-game series. They are 17-34 at home. They are 10-37 on the road. They have dropped 4 in a row. They are 2-8 in their last 10. Now,
and getting ready to sell more players.
There are no other teams in the American League with a triple-digit run differential. The closest to them would be Oakland at minus 83.
Wait. Can we see what is there a successful situation where we look and it's like, okay, only the White Sox have triple-digit negative. Is that because the rest of the American League got to play the White Sox?
It's very possible because there are 2 teams in the National League minus. Colorado's pretty close at minus 169. Miami not far behind at minus 152. Now, earlier, we talked about how they are 20 games behind the Detroit Tigers. The Detroit Tigers currently have a run differential of minus 7. Don, you win over.
Okay.
To get from Detroit to the run differential of the Chicago White Sox, they are exactly 170 behind them because the current run differential for the Chicago White Sox is a minus 177, which means they've lost a ton of ground in the last 2 weeks because the last time we did a show, 3 weeks, because the last time we did a show, it was like in the high 150s.
Mm-hmm.
America.
Yeah, it's this year.
And they have 10 less wins than Oakland does.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
They don't even have 28% more wins than us.
That's insane. I said early in the season they might go wire to wire, and it's just getting closer every week to being true.
Well, it turns out that we also have a bit of rumblings coming out of the MLB draft. Why suddenly there is the Marlins and the Rockies getting worse and trying to catch up with the White Sox? Because your number one prospect, who has said that he's going pro, is expected to be the youngest of Matt Holliday's kids, who might be the best player.
Oof.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, let's get into TV talk and start with stuff we watched on the break. I had to change it because we've been off for 2 weeks. Don, anything from a television standpoint that you watched on the break that you want to talk about?
Nothing really burning out the thing. It's more about people who we lost would be my biggest thing.
Yeah, that list is so long, I don't want to go into it because we lost another one today.
Yeah, I know.
And it's been
I just want to say it. I love the guy, and I know we ripped him once on the show with stretching to the oldies. Richard Simmons, man.
A lot of big losses in the world of entertainment since we were last.
I remember I brought out stretching to the oldies, and they sweating to the oldies, and
sweating to the oldies.
But they still deserve to be mentioned. We lost Bob Newhart just today. We lost, Richard Simmons. We lost who else in the last week? I mean,
Shannon Doherty.
Shannon Doherty.
Yeah, it's just
a lot of loss.
It's a rough stretch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Alex, anything from you?
I started dabbling in because we're starting to get closer to football season, and I kind of dig what Netflix's answer to Hard Knocks has become. Have you seen what this is this year?
I have not.
So we talked about it last year with quarterback, where they followed multiple quarterbacks through the season. This year, it's receiver. So they're following Devontae Adams, and that's been... I don't take pleasure in anybody's misery, but it's been revealing some of the things he has candidly said into a live microphone.
Yes.
But Justin Jefferson and having the tandem of George Kittle and Deebo Samuel on, it's been very, very interesting. And because Netflix, they get a lot of stuff that they're willing to put on the show that it seems like HBO may have run by a person or two instead of just putting it out there. Oof. But like the biggest hot take on that one is Devontae Adams basically insinuating very strongly, so it's not subtle, you need to bench Jimmy Garoppolo because he's getting me killed out here.
Anything else?
But no, I was saying in that scope. What was that, Don?
I did see the first episode the other night. I think it was on MGM, The Emperor of Ocean Park, the Forrest Whitaker.
Okay.
That was pretty good for the first set. They did the first premiere. Something that's new this week, which we saw. Basically, he plays a person who was just passed away, but there's something behind it. Possibly he was a man who was nominated to be a Supreme Court justice, and then some scandal came out during the confirmation. And now, was there something behind that? Why he didn't get confirmed, and maybe he knew something. So it's kind of that murder mystery kind of thing. So, but with Forrest Whitaker, you know you're going to get greatness. So,
yep.
Pretty good show. I'll give a thumbs up on that one.
Alex and I both finished up Clipped. Episode 6 aired since we were last on the air. Great mini series, and I still stand by. If Ed O'Neill does not win an Emmy, excuse me, there is something wrong in this world, because he was fantastic in this. The whole cast did a really great job overall. And if you are checking that out, check out the 30 for 30 podcast series with Ramona Shelburne that goes through each episode individually. Alex.
Now, in that same vein, I completely co-sign on Ed O'Neill. I'm hoping that is its own niche for an Emmy, because the other one that has been nominated that has come out was Walton Goggins, as Don would say, Shane from The Wire. But his work in the Fallout series, I had mentioned that I had a hard time getting into the show as somebody who's not a huge fan, but they did a really good job. But Walton Goggins, this might be setting a bar too high for some to imagine, but this is probably his best acting work, and it's not close.
Wow.
Because there is layers to his work in Fallout, and I will not spoil it, but it made me swear at the TV multiple times with surprise, impression, and flat-out joy with his performance.
O'Neill get an Emmy nomination? I know they released them just the other day, didn't they?
He wouldn't have qualified for this year because the airing was after the nominations. It'll be next year. I am one episode behind on Hard Knocks off-season with the New York Giants. Not a heck of a lot going on there.
May I? First episode makes me feel really good about where my team is going. Second episode, not so much. Third episode, little better. It's as a Giants fan, it's been a ride.
I have not finished up the Acolyte yet. I'm on episode 6. I just finished episode 6 before right after we went to break. I will probably get to it next week because I am taking a staycation for the first time in forever next week. So I'll be catching up on a lot of things. I did watch all of season 3 of Shoresy. Very much. There was actually a guy at the show this week, and Alex, you missed it, who had this sweater.
Oh,
so I complimented him on that. And
did you see the new Shoresy Funko Pop though?
I've seen a couple. They did a couple of new ones for him.
So you have the one with him as captain of the Sudbury Blueberry Bulldogs, but did you see Shoresy as the ref Funko?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And allegedly, you turn it; it's his back both ways.
And season 2 of King of the Collectibles has hit Netflix. This is about Ken Golden, who is one of the premier online auction houses in the world, and they're known for sports memorabilia, and in this season they are expanding into pop culture. So one of the episodes, the crew goes to New York Comic-Con, and I find it hilarious watching these guys try to understand pop culture stuff, which they don't. But Ken also makes a deal with one of his regulars that when he makes this deal, I'm like, there is no way you're going to fulfill this deal. It's kind of funny. But there's also a guest star that he meets with because he's been in the business since the late 80s. So there's a couple of really cool guest stars that show up on this that he works with to try to get, hey, we want to sell your collection and I don't want to ruin it. Check out King of the Collectibles because yes, a lot of it's staged, but just to see some of the cool stuff they get to work with, it's pretty fascinating. I'm a big fan. In other news, Apple TV has renewed Loot for season 3. This is the Maya Rudolph series that does very well for them. Don mentioned earlier about Emmy nominations. FX feeling pretty good about themselves right now. They didn't get the most overall, but they set a record as Shogun gets 25 nominations. The Bear right behind it with 23. They had a total in the 90s. They got ahead of HBO, but behind Netflix. Netflix was it was in triple digits. So congratulations to them. My wife is now watching The Bear. So
excellent.
And Don, get ready because the Alien FX series has a title.
Okay.
And I read the title and I went, oh dear. It's going to be called Alien Earth.
Okay. Now you got me interested.
And the producer has said, we are going to take our time with this series. We're not just jumping in. We're going to tell a story. So I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. Alex.
Wasn't there a show called Alien Earth or something like that in the late 80s, early 90s?
You're thinking of Alien Nation, which was a movie with Jimmy Caan that Fox turned into a series.
Okay, with the no hair and purple along the sides. Okay, yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yes, excellent film. Never watched the series. NBC Peacock has announced some guest stars for season 2 of Poker Face.
Oh.
Here's your guest star list. Gabby Hoffman.
Nice.
Kumail Nanjiani,
Awesome.
Katie Holmes,
Nice.
and a man who can't not be everywhere, Giancarlo Esposito. All will be starring on season 2 of Poker Face.
If there's anybody that deserves it.
We're hearing some very interesting theories as it pertains to him and Captain America: Brave New World.
I've been avoiding as much as possible.
I watched the trailer under direct direction to do so.
Mm-hmm.
That and the one sheet they've released for that. Oh, and it's coming out on Valentine's Day.
Well, and did you get Winter Soldier vibes from it, or just me?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Netflix has said you can act if you are a fan of such things. Season 1 of Fire Country, they're going to stream it on August 1st, which kind of was a surprise by me because that's a CBS thing. And they have stricken a deal with AMC for content, and to kick it off will be their series that's being done for Interview with a Vampire.
Oh, I was really expecting a Walking Dead statement there.
Netflix. Paramount Plus has said season 2 of Frasier will begin September 19th. So mark your calendars accordingly there. And we have news from an outlet that we don't really ever talk about on this show, Pluto TV, which is a very popular streaming app. They are partnering up with CBS. Starting today, they will be hosting the 24/7 streams for the latest season of Big Brother.
Oh.
So if that's your bit, go to Pluto TV. They're going to have your 24/7 streams. TV on DVD and Blu-ray. I really can't wait till next week's show to tell you guys something that's coming out the following week, but I'm going to put a pin in it for now. Season 2 of Halo will be available on Tuesday, Alex. And they are doing the entire collection on Blu-ray of the Three Stooges. Very excited about that.
There's also bad news in that scope. They have officially canceled Halo, the TV show.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it just came out about 40 minutes ago.
Getting into movie talk, I want to send a shout out to everybody that came out to hang out at Retro Expo this past weekend. Oh, Russ's Night Court's been renewed for season 3. I didn't see that. Or maybe we did and I didn't get there. But had a great time at Retro Expo. Got to sit down with Patrick Duffy and Priscilla Presley for a great panel that I should be able to get up here in the next few weeks. And also with Wallace Shawn, who was amazing to sit down with. I really enjoyed my time with him. Mike's in the room. Hey, what's up, brother? And this coming weekend, if you're down in the Austin area in Cedar Park, I will be part of Greater Austin Comic-Con this weekend, sitting down with some great guests. I'll be sitting down with Bob Gunton, who you might remember from The Shawshank Redemption, and Don will know from 24. Dunk, dink, dunk, dink. Also, I'll be sitting down.
Say the other one. Say the weird one.
Timok, I will be sitting down with him, which I'm very excited about. And I get to sit down for a 45-minute panel with Weird Al Yankovic. And I am over the moon right now. Shout out to Alex for giving me the Blu-ray for Weird, which I have completely dissected. And on my birthday, they released the 35th anniversary edition of UHF.
Nice.
Which is kind of cool.
Over or under?
Question.
Yes.
Would you, and I'm serious about this, ask him if what's of all of his songs in this catalog, what's the one that he regrets doing the most, which may have offended like an artist or something.
I am not going to ask him that, Don.
You want, okay.
He's already answered that one, and it is not a comfortable response.
Is it okay? I didn't know.
It's Amish Paradise, and you can look it up.
Okay, never mind then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I was going to say was over or under 2 Joe Hendry questions directed at Weird Al from Rob.
Yeah.
Since they both do parody songs.
Yeah, I don't think he'll know about that.
I really want to know that he's like a fan. I want him to show up in a Joe Hendry shirt and you just sit there going, I have no idea what to do with this.
Oh, remind me about that when we get to Impact, because I have an idea for a Joe Hendry shirt.
Nice.
I'll tell you about when we were talking about it yesterday. But there's also some amazing other. We've got Don Gibbs from Bloodsport, from Revenge of the Nerds. He's going to be doing a panel. Marky Ramone is going to be there. We've got Cal Dodd and Lenore Zahn from the X-Men series will be on stage together. We've got like a 7-person panel from Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's going to be happening. We've got a panel with Steve Guttenberg, Fisher Stevens, and the guy that was the voice of Johnny Five. That's going to be a lot of fun. We've also got McKenna Michaels, who we adore. She's going to be there. We've got a couple of really cool indie panels and a really cool voice actor panel that you've got to see to believe. We've got cosplay. We've got a pre-party tomorrow night where I'll be DJing for a couple of hours. We've got the after party on Saturday night where we're going to have a cosplay spelling bee. All the words will be geek culture related. Shout out to Darren, who's going to be running that. And then I'll be doing karaoke for about 3 hours on Saturday night. It's always a great show. Greater Austin does a great job. Make sure you come hang out. And if you see me, come say something, because I'd love to see you guys. All right, let's get into movie talk and get back into stuff we watched during the break. Don, did you watch any movies during the break?
Actually, not really the movies too much.
Okay, fair enough. Alex?
I have actually been playing catch up on what I thought of when we first started talking about the stuff we watched. So for me, it's strictly been Peaky Blinders or Wrestling for the Show. That's been my entirety for the last 2 weeks.
So as we talked about just a moment ago, I did watch Weird, the Al Yankovic story, which you can actually stream on the Roku channel if you're one of those people. But I love my physical media because I got to watch it with the commentary and all the things that came with it. There's actually on the Blu-ray, there's an interview that he and Daniel Radcliffe do with Seth Meyers. That's very, very good. Very much enjoyed that film. It's bat guano crazy. That's all.
That is an understatement.
I did watch the Nickelback documentary on Netflix called Hate to Love. Very interesting. I am an unapologetic Nickelback fan. I contend you cannot hate Nickelback and love Def Leppard because they're the same band. The only difference is Nickelback's lyrics make sense. That's the only difference between the two. But
and to clarify, I have heard you say that for the entirety of our friendship, so you're not just making that up now.
And shout out to, I see fanboys giving us some love. Hope you guys are doing well up there. I also watched Godzilla -1 over the break. You just have to keep reminding yourself they made this movie on less than $20 million. Like, it's fascinating.
14 million
and one change for best visual effects. It is outstanding. It's a lot of fun. I would love to see the black and white version.
It is coming,
and it's called Godzilla -1 Color.
No, I believe that one's just called Godzilla Color.
Oh, is it? I'm calling it because I think that sounds better.
Double negative.
I watch for the most part. I've got a lot of stuff I'm going to be watching next week, like I said, because I'm taking a staycation. So I haven't taken a true staycation while employed in many, 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 many moons. So I am very much looking forward when I get back from Austin on Sunday night for doing as much of nothing as I can, because I'm not making any plans. Like, if I choose to want to go do something, I'll go do something. Otherwise, getting out of bed, going to the couch. That's the agenda, bro. But you got to do every once. And I've been full throttle for like 4 months. So it's time for me to recharge the batteries a little bit. So I'm very excited about that. Read yesterday that the Russo brothers are in talks to direct the next 2 Avengers films. So for them to say they were kind of done, and now
that's being reported as a done deal.
Oh, I haven't seen that it was official. I heard they were in talks. So if it's signed,
apparently the statement from the Russo brothers was 5 and 6 is theirs as of yesterday.
Good. That's what I like to hear. Also found out today, shout out to Francis Ford Coppola. He is going to receive a Kennedy Center honor this year.
Very nice.
Which he's one of 2 people on this list that I thought already had one. Because your list of
that's fair.
Year, him, the Grateful Dead. The other one I thought already had one that apparently didn't get one this year is Bonnie Raitt. And Arturo Sandoval. That's your list. And it's something I've never heard of. I'm sure it's been done before, but I've never heard of it. The Apollo is going to receive a special honor as an iconic American institution. So I thought that was kind of cool. So there's that. Oh, Alex, did we lose you? You there? Okay, it looked like you froze up on me there for a minute.
No, I'm here.
I feel like we now need to have a segment on this show called Glenn Powell News. Because he's everywhere right now. Announced today he is going to be starring in a remake of Backdraft. I don't know how I feel about it.
No.
Alex?
I didn't hear who you said. It cut out for me.
Glenn Powell.
Of course he is. As long as he doesn't have to cry.
So yeah, that was announced today, as well as Dawn.
Oh God, now what?
No, I think you're going to be interested. Something.
You know how much I hate remakes. Doing Backdraft now? Give me a break.
Stay with me, Don. Stay with me. We are in early talks for a film version. Ding, 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 ding. 24, there are talks now of a film. No announcements whether Kiefer's going to be involved or what it's going to be, but we have the possibility. If it's done in real time and we can ignore that last one, I am fully here for it. Because you and I are both big 24 fans. So when you can take the guy that played Serrano in Major League and convince me that forever he's now Mr. President, that's all you need to know. I am cautiously optimistic here.
Poor Dennis Haysbert being the guy who played Serrano in Major League.
But still, that's to me, until 24, that was the defining role for Dennis Haysbert for me, who, by the way, I'm told is very nice and once had lunch with friend of the show, Craig Price, who was also in town this weekend helping out Craig at Retro Expo.
Insurance guy, President Palmer was also Serrano.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, is Don just learning this?
I didn't know that.
I've never seen a moment of 24, and I knew that.
I didn't know that
he looks completely different in Major League. So if you're not for it, but I thought we talked about that before. But yeah,
we have.
Hats for bets. Keep bets warm. Thank you, my friend.
Gracias.
Speaking of things adjacent to that, Craig got to sit down with Harry Hamlin on Sunday, and they talked about him being the third sexiest man alive ever. And he asked, was there any issues that anybody give you any grief? He's like, man, Corbin Burnson was really mad. Which Harry Hamlin was great. All the guests this weekend were great. But that's what we got going on. So I'm cautiously optimistic because I love me some 24.
Oh, I do too, but sometimes, do you really want it when it's going to be,
But Don, what's the theme tonight? Have faith. Have a little faith, brother.
Well, when I heard Backdraft,
I guess it would be nice.
That put me in a bad mood when I heard Backdraft remake.
But normally I wouldn't mention something that's that early in discussions.
Except that it's 24.
But we don't have a lot of material this week. So...
But I have to roll with Don on this one. It's like, what are you going to do with Backdraft that would ever make it better? Like graphically or visually, yes. With technology now, you might be able to make certain things look better. You are not going to improve on Backdraft. I'm sorry.
They did a sequel. Movie new releases coming out tomorrow. Right off the top, you can go to www.theclubhousepodcast.com.
That's our website.
And check out both the reviews from Don and myself for Twisters, because Glenn Powell news. Like I said, we did not agree, which is read both of our reviews. It's a very interesting contrast of thoughts on Twisters. I will say this, when we went to the screening, you know how they have they'll have something on the screen. Mm-hmm. Periodically, it would just turn into a Twister and at full blast volume in the theater, like every 5 minutes for the.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
During you would have a background noise the whole time.
Yeah, the background noise was always there. It would fire up about every 5 minutes, then you see a twister on the screen. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, I'm still a little bitter about not making it to that one. I'm just saying.
Shout out to our vendor friends for that one from Universal. And it also has I found out something I mentioned to Alex. I don't know if you noticed this, Don. It's got both the Universal and the Warner Brothers logos on it.
Oh, I didn't know that. No.
Apparently, the first one did too, where Universal had the overseas distribution and Warner Brothers had the domestic, and apparently it's the other way around this time.
Okay.
So, I should probably be prepared better for things like this.
Oh no.
No, I just didn't type in I go to the MDib and type in the other films that released this week. So I need to do that. We have a film called Crossing. Leah, this is a foreign film. Leah, who is a retired teacher, has promised to find her long-lost niece, Tekla. Her search takes her to Istanbul, not Constantinople, where she meets Evrim, a lawyer fighting for trans rights, and Tekla starts to...
I hate you so very, very much right now.
We also have a movie called Clawfoot coming out this week. This stars Nestor Campbell, Oliver Cooper, and Olivia Culpo. That's a name we haven't heard in a while. Follows a housewife psychologically terrorized by a manipulative contractor, leading to a twisted battle of wits with deliciously unexpected results. One of the posters for this has her manning a croquet mallet, so you got that going for you. Also this week, the very anticipated but not well-reviewed sequel, My Spy, the Eternal City, with the Batista.
But you have spoken highly about that first one.
I love the first one. I'll watch it. You know, like I said, I got time this week. I'm going to watch a lot of stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, I think B&T is off next week, and I think Around the Horn and PTI, they go into dry dock next week too. So I should have a ton of time to do whatever the heck I want. So, movies on DVD and Blu-ray this week. Part 3 of Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I am so far behind on my DC project, but I will watch that at some point. Strangers Chapter 1, which got very mixed reviews when it came out. And the Criterion Collection has 2 big releases this week. The late 80s film Farewell, My Concubine, which was very popular at my theater. And the Criterion Collection is doing Risky Business. Next week. So that's kind of cool. We do have a quick Tech Talk headline. And I pray that neither of you guys know what I'm about to talk about.
All right.
Are you a fan of the Xbox?
No.
Yes.
Are you a fan of Marvel movies?
Uh-huh.
Did you see the announcement today?
Maybe.
If you go to Xbox on X and use the hashtag Xbox Cheeky Controller Sweepstakes, you could not only win a Deadpool and Wolverine themed Xbox. What it comes with, Don, are you ready?
All right.
It comes with 2 controllers. And this is what they look like.
Jesus has left the chat.
And it's called the Cheeky Controllers because, yes, that is Deadpool's butt on the back of them.
Yep.
Designed by Deadpool. That's right. This is happening, people. Take it in. Take it all.
Phrasing.
And take it all in, man. Also, they have a sponsorship deal with Old Spice. I don't think I've seen that commercial. I saw it on YouTube today with his roommate. And he's spraying all over. And at the end of the commercial, he stops. She goes, "Did I tell you to stop?" Because she's saying he stinks. All right. I gotta do a thing. Go ahead, Alex.
So, interestingly enough, also in the tech scope this week, the return of college football, the video game. With college football 25, to me, it's still NCAA 25 because that's what it was 11 years ago. But I have been playing, so I can have an informative view. And they did such a great job to make sure it was something different than Madden. It has been awesome. Really, really awesome. And there's little subtle things in there because, honestly, the biggest thing between college and pro sports is atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Pro sports, give it to me on TV. College sports, if you're there, you're feeling it. And they do an amazing job doing that. With the opening, Rob, I think you'd really appreciate this. Starting with the intro music that you have going that transitions into drumline bands playing the same song and shifting back and forth. It's really, really cool. And one of the subtle ideas that they have thought of, because it is so hard to play on the road in college. So when you would be playing, if you've ever played a football game, mostly probably Madden, where you see the play lines on there to set you up while you're on offense, if that crowd is getting so maniacal because home crowd trying to pump up their team, the lines will start to like crook and get wiggly so that it's harder to signal out where people are going. They have done little things like that. I love it.
I dig that.
Yeah, they have apparently been working on just this for so long. They've been trying to build something ground up that wasn't just a Madden clone, even though there are obvious parallels because it's EA. But maybe the FAU Owls have a digital national championship from me. I'm just saying. But
that led me to something that's going to lead me to something else. One of the YouTube rabbit holes I'm falling down right now is cover songs. And today I watched a video from Moscow of 450 musicians, including a horn section, which is what led me here, doing Evanescence's Bring Me to Life.
Wow.
Dude, it's amazing. And that led me to another thing that was Daughtry with Brad Arnold from Three Doors Down live doing In the Air tonight.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You have my attention.
Yeah. Check that out. All right. Now let's do this. The second half of our show is the Cheat Podcast, your one-stop shop for all things professional wrestling. Let us dive right in. I asked Alex earlier to remind me in case I forgot. I did not forget. Joe Hendry does have his own shop on Pro Wrestling Tees, but there's a shirt I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
On the back of it, his face. But on the front, you know that fashion that went on for a while that was like Joey and Chandler and Monica and those kind of things on a shirt? It's like Joey and Chandler and Monica.
Oh, okay. So like what the Judgment Day did.
Right. Okay. I want London and Paris and Tokyo and America and Canada and Mexico. And I don't want anything. And his face on the back. That's all I want. Or I want the initials with a hashtag in front of it. Because if you know, you know.
How about one better? You do it. London, clap emoji. Scotland, clap emoji. And having the clap emoji over all of them without the face on the back.
Well, I do love the shirt that says "Say his name" and he appears, and there's a banner across the front that says Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Yes.
I just love that. But TNA Slammiversary is this Saturday night. It is sold out, even with the seats they've added. So congratulations to TNA on that. So we'll talk about that next week because it hasn't happened yet. I will be in Austin, so I will read the results because it's a pay-per-view, and I'm not paying for it while I'm down there. Also, Reality of Wrestling. Lazy booking. Because last time we were on the air together, we talked about this Battle to the Bell ladder match, where if you climb the ladder and you ring the bell 3 times, you get a title shot whenever you want. Well, before that, they had their last chance battle royal where the winner of that got a shot at any belt they wanted as Gaspar Hernandez. I don't think Shad Gaspar, but it's Gaspar Hernandez. He decides he's going to cash in on the Reality of Wrestling Championship held by his stablemate in the Heat, Matty Ice. Booker T not happy about it. Hernandez wins and is immediately cashed in on by Edge Stone to win the title. Edge Stone joins the Heat, and there's that.
Well, remember, Booker's only involvement in actually booking has been his experience with the NWO, where it was, yeah, Adam in, 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 yeah, Adam in. Ralphus? Maybe.
Money in the Bank was a thing, speaking of which. I thought this was a good show.
It was.
I really enjoyed Money in the Bank. Did not expect Drew McIntyre to win.
Mm-mm.
He was last on my list, literally.
He was bottom 2 or 3 for me.
Don, your thoughts on the men's Money in the Bank ladder match?
Good match overall. And they even have betting odds that CM Punk would get involved, and everybody think that's going to happen. And it didn't. And that was the surprising thing.
On that match.
Yeah, on that match. Now, my question is, what are they doing with this? Who are they trying to make heel? Who are they trying to make the baby face? Because you could be on both sides on either person on this thing.
Well, let's get to what happened later in a minute.
Okay.
Because we also need to talk about the women's Money in the Bank ladder match won by Tiffany Stratton, who was my prediction.
Yeah,
so
I believe she was everybody's, yeah.
Actually, Steve and I were texting back. He did not have her. He thought it was going to be Chelsea Green, who Wrestling with Regret did label as the MVP.
That was the other one.
But a very interesting concept that was happening. Wrestling with Regret. Check out his channel. He does pay-per-view recaps. He does classic pay-per-view recap, which last night I watched the one that he did for King of the Ring. I think it was 99 when it was Shane versus Austin in the ladder match. But he talks about how apparently on Meltzer's website there was an even split of on the women's match of people that said it was the worst match of the night and the best match of the night, which I thought was interesting. But he said Chad Gable was the MVP of the men's match. Chelsea Green, absolutely the MVP of the women's match, taking one of the craziest table spots I have ever seen. She fell forever.
It was so clean.
It was perfect. Absolutely pitch perfect.
You guys see the Money in the men's. Who did you bet on before?
My bet was on LA Knight.
Yeah, that's who I had.
Because I felt Jey Uso was too telegraphed.
Yeah, too over.
That it would have been too much.
And one of the things we've said about Jey Uso is that because he has the endurance, he is a fit guy. He's that kind of person that would be a better, if you are going to ascend Jey Uso, he's the kind of guy you give that Shawn Michaels story when he first broke through. Let him come out as number one during the Rumble and go the whole way. That's what his story would be. And now that's more of a face aspect. So for me, I actually had no idea on this one going in. I knew it wasn't going to be Carmelo. I was confident it wasn't going to be Andrade. I felt confident that it wasn't going to be Drew. And then you start leaving like, okay, who's left there? And I thought LA Knight was going to get interrupted by Logan Paul. So I really thought they were just going to put it on Uso, even if it was kind of lazy booking.
But we do get to the men's cash in. As Drew McIntyre said, if I win, I'm cashing in. And he did, making it a triple threat.
Mm-hmm.
Storytelling to this was brilliant on multiple levels. Because Punk costs McIntyre, which is his major plan. But in doing so, he costs Seth Rollins the ability to challenge while Damian Priest has the title, which now reignites that feud. But that feud seems to be secondary to what Rollins wants to do with McIntyre because Punk's not cleared yet. You've also got the Damian Priest aspect to it of the Judgment Day needs me more than I need them, which is causing some great storytelling as well. The way this match unfolded was gorgeous. And as much as we criticize the company when they don't do what we feel is well, we have to acknowledge when they do well. And this was brilliant booking. Perfection. To the point where I'm sitting on my couch going, you give me this every week? Holy cow.
Yeah. And the big thing you have with that is you really have to pick at nits, so to speak. Now, there have been multiple reasons about why Damian didn't kick out on a certain spot. Yeah. There was discussions of he didn't hear the first slap and thought it was only at 2. There was the aspect that he was also possibly thinking that that's when McIntyre's music was supposed to hit. So there's a lot of different ways with that. There's him getting hung up in the ropes that was a little scary, but all in all, it was a relatively clean pay-per-view or plea and was enjoyable.
So if you were the ref in that situation, what do you do?
Exactly what he did. Now, you may do a little bit of flavor with it and instead start pausing and looking like you're seeing if there's space, but that's a little too old school for modern storytelling, so you do it exactly like you did. You say, I thought his shoulder twitched up.
But here's my thing. The storytelling in that match was so good, I didn't even realize it till later when somebody put the video of it up on X. I was like, oh, wow. I was so enthralled in what was going on in that match. A botch like that completely got past me, and I'm okay with it.
Absolutely.
Cena comes out, says in 2024 he will be retiring. It will not, 2025. Oh, yeah, this is 2024. But I said this when it happened, and a lot of people thought Mania was going to be it. No, he said that will be his last Mania. I see him probably going at least through SummerSlam, if not Survivor Series, because this is going to be a Jeter-esque farewell tour. And I'm okay with it. You know, Cena just, like, when he came out and held up that towel, I was like, oh. Like, I had to text my sister and make sure. I'm like, are you watching this? And
are you okay?
She just sent me the picture of Michael Scott crying. And I told my sister that whenever we find out when that is, I don't care if it's Raw, if it's SmackDown, if it's NXT, if it's a plea, she and I will be in the same room together for that moment. I am saying book it now. Now, should his last match be Joe Hendry? I'm okay with it. But that's another discussion for another day. Bad Blood is returning. We're bringing that back October 5th at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta. I like that they're bringing back some of the old ones, man. I'm here for it.
My problem is that I want them to bring back other ones. We have long said we want Halloween Havoc to be a real plea, not just an offshoot for NXT. But
about that here in just a moment. Natalya has re-signed with the company. Good on her. LA is your rumor for Survivor Series. I have not heard anything substantial yet, but that late, I mean, you got to announce it fairly soon. Dear goodness, there are only 4 months left until Survivor Series. You got to get tickets on sale. So get that done. This tomorrow night's will be a double taping for SmackDown. Next week will be pre-taped as the crew will be in Japan for a tour. So be aware that there will be spoilers out there pretty quickly tomorrow night. So if you're like me and you avoid spoilers, know they will be out there because they're doing a double taping of SmackDown. NXT announces that No Mercy will be September 1st from the Ball Arena in Denver, which is a Sunday night. And Halloween Havoc will be October 27th as a special event from the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Been there many times.
So it's not going to be at the PC this year. So I'm hopeful. I don't know how I feel about the Bash being 2 nights, but It's going to be what it's going to be.
I think it's just them trying to make every show sound like something that matters.
Forbidden Door was a thing since we last convened. Alex and I, we watched a little bit of it. Actually, we watched the whole thing. We were at Dave and Buster's right here in Frisco. Shout out to them for carrying the pay-per-view. They put it on a big screen for us. We had as much audio as they could give us, there were some people there. We're in talks with them, maybe to do a little something down the road. So stay by the channel for that. Had a Britt Baker did return, which I can't say smartest man alive, but I did make an allusion to, I believe she shows up tonight. And I did call the match she showed up in, but she did not get involved. Willow Nightingale is now your CMLL women's champion after Saturday night. So congratulations to her. Speaking of which, her theme now part
of... I can go back to Forbidden Door.
Yeah, done.
I'm sorry. Swerve put on... He's the champion. I think he deserves it. And
absolutely. That match was incredible.
He can wrestle now, and his match with Ospreay, that was...
and you can also tell that those guys are as close as they say they are because of how amazing that match was.
And secondly, now they talk about how Ospreay and Bryan Danielson were, the match, one of the best matches, Instant Classic, which it was.
It was.
But now you put him with Swerve now, Danielson with Swerve as the main event. That's probably going to be one hell. Now, if I would have booked it, I would have done Ospreay at Wembley.
You have said that before.
Yeah, but still, I think that will be a good match with that.
Alex, go.
I think that might actually still be the plan. I think there's a chance that All In winds up becoming a triple threat. Because you have the aspect of Ospreay beat Danielson, Swerve beat Ospreay, and you kind of have a spark because Danielson early on beat Swerve, so you almost have like a rock paper scissor of booking.
Well, let me multiverse it for you.
Hit it.
What if Danielson says, I've wrestled at Wembley, I've done that. I will defer to Ospreay, but I want my shot at All Out the next weekend.
The only reason I can't see that working, while I don't dislike it, the only reason I can't see that working is because Danielson has already talked about how important it is for him to do Wembley because he missed last year.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm good either way. Battle of the Belts 11 is set for next Saturday night in Arlington as they are getting ready for that residency. As we know, next Friday is Death Before Dishonor. They're in Arlington, Texas. Trent Beretta may be injured. We're not for sure. That's kind of why they did what they did with him last week. And are you a fan of video games? Are you a fan of podcasts? Are you a fan of Chugs? Are you a fan of Evil Uno? Well, Chug and Evil Uno have a brand new podcast called All Elite Arcade. New episodes dropping on Monday. For those of you that don't know, Chugs is Adam Cole.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. So that'll be every Monday. They're going to be doing reviews. They're going to talk video games. They're going to have interviews and stuff. So if that's your bag, man, those are two guys that know how to talk. Last night on Dynamite, I really thought. Now, granted, we were 2 seconds short.
I got it.
Yeah, hand it to business.
Plus, I didn't watch Dynamite. So
mute yourself, Don.
Okay, hold on 1 second.
Actually, I'll mute you from here. You're good.
Oh, I got it. I'll mute. 1 second.
Okay. Come on. I got it. 2 seconds away from that going Broadway.
I loved how they booked that, though, because at that point, as soon as they started saying 50 minutes, how much did you mentally settle into, Broadway? Okay, that's what we're doing.
Oh,
and then the finish. It was a great match.
Once we got to the second commercial break is when I started going, this could go Broadway. And we've seen it happen. We were in the building when they've done a Broadway. And
I believe that was their first one.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And a great match. I thought it was really well done. You have two of the best in the game currently doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big fan of that match. Watched it this morning. Really enjoyed it. I also liked, and by the way, and new MJF. We have to acknowledge that.
Yep.
Something very subtle that they did during TV time. Suzuki headbutts Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
Under normal circumstances, you would have Big Bill and Brian attack said person. But because Minoru Suzuki is who he is, they back away.
The murder grandpa.
And I thought that was also great booking because they're showing respect to the legend to be like, because if you let them attack him and beat him down, it kind of goes counter to who Minoru Suzuki really is. And I really thought the level of respect they showed and how that worked, I thought that was really good booking as well. I really
it plays perfectly because in that same scope, Minoru Suzuki is a legit psychopath looking man. And just hearing the pop every time for Kazi Minare always gets me. And I remember the look on your face when Steven and I did it, and you're like, I'm sorry, what just that?
I had no idea. I had nothing. I had a bag of nothing. Mariah May. Whoa. When she came out.
What just happened?
I don't know. I've got you. You had a little stutter, but I've got you now. Do you have me? Uh-oh.
Okay, I literally just came back at your whoa, so I don't know what's going on.
Mariah May.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why is Tony Storm? That's not Tony Storm.
It took a while to figure that out.
That was really well done. And the Acclaim have joined Team AEW, as has Darby Allin for Blood and Guts, which is next week. So get ready for that. And congratulations to AEW on their 250th episode. So,
blanket question.
Sure.
Is this the least interesting Blood and Guts from a build standpoint for you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not even close for me.
All right, Don's coming back. Let me unmute him.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right, sorry about that.
All good?
Yeah, still might have to call in another bit, but it's all right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Don is dealing with some tech issues at his house.
Yeah.
Everything's okay. He's just, when you're one of the last remaining Uverse customers, because we're all good at that. We're a very, very
I can get rid of it because it's better than.
I know.
It's better.
It just got too expensive for us, the old house. Plus, we wouldn't have had it when we moved anyway. But yeah, this is the least. I'm like, oh yeah, that's next week.
And it was one of those where it's like, oh, it's in Nashville, and it's the only interesting thing that might come out of this for me is the Elite losing. They turn on Hangman, and he just goes on a Ghost Rider like tour of vengeance through the Elite, which I am all here for.
And then we just wait for Kenny Omega. Ring of Honor, hear me. I try to watch as much of Ring of Honor live as I'm getting ready for the show every week. Because that way I don't have to sit through the whole thing. But usually, until today, I can hit my remote and it will tell me how long Ring of Honor is scheduled to run for. So I know when I get into my studio to do the show, I know how much of the show is left that I have to watch. It did not happen today. Ring of Honor, hear me. I am very, very time oriented. Bring that back. Also, go ahead, Don.
You were talking about Kenny Omega. What is in real life his situation?
He has had successful surgery for diverticulitis. He had the surgery the other day. He is in recovery now.
Okay. So there's a chance he may return in.
If you want a good parallel, Don, years ago, Brock Lesnar went away for a while because he had to have surgery. Yeah. It's the exact same thing that Brock Lesnar had. So it's just a matter of recovery.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have not gotten a timetable on that yet.
Okay.
Also, do not have a timetable on Jamie Hayter yet. Still waiting.
Which makes me sad.
Yeah. But I did do the deal with TNA because you can watch TNA live as it airs on Access TV. You get the commercial breaks. They don't do anything like WWE does with the please. In the commercial break, it's just a graphic that says TNA will be right back. But you can fast forward through those if you watch on a delay. So be aware of that. But you also have to go. They have the blank part for the half an hour before the show starts. So if you start it over, you have to fast forward for a half an hour. And their fast forwards, you click it once and it's 2.5 minutes at a time. So be aware of that. So don't get trigger happy because you're going to miss stuff. And tonight we do have the Hardy Boys tagging in TNA for the first time in many, many years as we prepare for Slammiversary. Anything else you boys want to talk about? Because that's all I got.
I kind of want to selfishly get a thought process on something we have assumed for a while, and I had a curiosity pop up.
Okay.
But I'll be quick about it. We've been talking about the new bloodline versus old bloodline, Roman coming back at SummerSlam.
Which is the rumor.
Which is the rumor. I had a thought that what if we missed something? So
Okay.
we've been talking about who gets added to Solo's bloodline and who has to round out the return of the OG bloodline. I have a sneaky suspicion Solo loses at SummerSlam expecting outside help that doesn't come. And you have the Tongans turn on him with Hikuleo showing up. So you have 4 Tongans. Solo is the one that's dealing with the repercussions of losing to Cody, has to be saved by Roman. And then there's that whole aspect of can they trust Solo with your OG bloodline on one side and the Tongan bloodline on the other? Because if you look at the common thread through most of those, they're all blood brother style relatives a la The Rock. Whereas everybody in OG bloodline are directly blood related.
I don't know how I feel about it. Because I like the Solo on one side as the head of the table, Roman on the other. I really do. I'm interested. We talked a little bit about this a few weeks ago with the possible involvement of Nia and Naomi.
Mm-hmm.
There was another development this week that allegedly former 2-time WoW tag champs, the Tonga twins, were at the PC earlier this week. So I am keeping an eye on that situation to see where it goes.
That's fair.
So there is that.
I see Solo on the other side of Roman for the time because he's trying to do the power grab.
Mm-hmm.
I can see him as a leader.
He's also got the most mic skills, in my opinion, of the 4 of them. Because you really want to keep Jacob Fatu as just kind of this Arn Anderson style enforcer who's just running roughshod over everything. Gorillas of Destiny, there's a mystique to them, to WWE crowds, that I think needs to stay where it is for a little bit, which also elevates Solo.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of like where it sits now because it feels weird. It feels like the black and white versus red and black NWO, and then you had the silver and black, and things got weird.
Yeah,
but I'm getting used to it. It's settling in for me.
But the main thing I was thinking about was the idea of I don't know that I'm there with Solo. I don't know that I'm being sold on him as a true big bad. And there's those shots of Jacob, who legitimately looks insane.
I love that.
Looking at Solo's back and the aspect of all of them being tangential family, just like The Rock. I could see The Rock being the mind and mouthpiece behind the Tongan bloodline, where Heyman is your managerial wise man for the OG bloodline. That because if you even go back to when Heyman was removed, we'll call it, he even starts with Solo, I love you, but I do not.
Yeah.
So there's that whole aspect of family is still family is still family.
I'm interested. I mean, I'm intrigued to see where it goes.
Oh yeah, How many times have you been able to say that about a story that's, in theory, gone for 3 years?
Indeed. Much
Do you see him at SummerSlam?
That's the rumors. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the rumor that he's going to show up. All right, let's do the plugs. Remember, Greater Austin Comic-Con this weekend. If you're in town, we'd love to see you. Come by and see your boy. Make sure you visit our website, the aforementioned www.theclubhousepodcast.com. Find out everything you need to know and some stuff you don't. For those of you on the video feed, in the upper right corner of your screen is a QR code that's right next to Alex currently. That's where you can go to get all of our stuff. If you are on the audio feed, you don't have that QR code, so let us help you out. Follow us on your social medias. Everything outside of TikTok and X are the Clubhouse Podcast. Those two are Clubhouse Show. You can follow me on all your social medias. Everything is Yes That Rob Irvin. That is spelled ERVIN.
I'm Vexploit on all social media. If you'd like to help out the show, please go to our Pro Wrestling Tees store under the Cheap Popcast. We've got a lot of different shirt options, a lot of different color options within those. If you happen to be an artist or even just somebody who has a suggestion on designs you'd like to see, you can reach out to me at alex@theclubhousepodcast.com.
And that URL gets those awesome shirts that even make me look good. ProWrestlingTees.com/cheap-popcast. And on Twitter, I'm at Voodoo. How'd you been, you? And you want to manage your place, email me, Don'sClubhousePodcast.com.
Speaking of which, Asian Film Festival Dallas coming up on Saturday, July 27th. At least one, if not two of us are going to be there. So hang out for that. We're looking forward to that show every year. We love hanging out with the Shewarts. You can email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me to go pound sand. I am Rob at theclubhousepodcast.com. Charla Marshall is on Pinterest because we are morally obligated to say that. Our normal show every Thursday night, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, is your one-stop shop for all things sports, entertainment, pop culture, and pro wrestling. So until next Thursday, for Alex, for Don, for the Empire, I'm Rob. Clubhouse is closed. Brittany Palmer got a lot of new content. Got to check it out.